I'm Dr. Brian Cole, and I have the privilege of being here with Carl Reinhardt, who has a really interesting story to tell. We're here at the Oak Brook Surgery Center, and so I've been doing cartilage transplants now for better than 25 years, and as well as tissue transplantation with ligaments and and bone grafts and so forth. And I can safely say over the last 25 years, I've never had the privilege of meeting a family member of one of the donors, and this is what we really have the opportunity to do today. So, Carl, thanks for being here. I'm actually very grateful. And I'll just give a little bit of the story, but I think more importantly, I'd love to hear you share some of your thoughts.
Awesome.
I've had the privilege of taking care of the Chicago Bulls now for almost 20 years, and has been well known in the media as Lonzo Ball, who had a long-standing knee issue where he had a meniscectomy done years back, and we tried a number of things to try to resolve some pain, and for the better part of a year or more, we're unable to get rid of the medial side of knee pain, and we indicated him for a medial meniscal transplant and an osteochondral allograft. And that was a situation that if he didn't do something, he wouldn't be able to play. And he knew that going in, and he also knew that there was really no precedent for this. There was an ESPN article that sort of quoted us as saying, the Hail Mary. I mean, the reality is we don't have an NBA population who's ever had a double transplant, and it's probable that he may be the only person who's had a meniscus transplant. Maybe there have been a few osteochondral allografts. So at any rate, that's the procedure he had in March of 23, and just beyond 2 years of being out of the sport, he was able to return. And if you ask him, he would say he has no knee pain and he's been playing extremely well. And we keep our fingers crossed. He's very grateful for the opportunity to play again, but we don't have much to borrow from as far as what's going to happen tomorrow with this particular procedure. Long way of introducing the fact that you are the donor's father. So I'm just curious if you could sort of share your experience, what happened and how anything about your son, and a little bit about the tissue banking industry. And it's ironic that you and I it's sort of like 6 degrees of separation. We've known each other indirectly for over 20 years because of the spaces we work in. So I just wanted you to get a chance to share your story.
Yeah, no, it's sort of remarkable a little bit, making something sort of remarkable out of something so tragic. My son, Alex Reinhardt, was a college football player. At age 20, he he took his own life, and it's just the whole suicidal awareness thing is just something that's always been important to me since this happened. But he was someone that just continued to always want to give. Again, it's an unfortunate circumstance, but it's sort of crazy a little bit how he lived his life and always paying something forward. And to hear over probably the last week or so when we found out that the Lonzo Ball was the recipient.
If I may interrupt, you knew your son was an organ donor. He donated his heart, liver, lungs, right?
So,
as well as his cartilage, and he's already donated some of his parts to other individuals.
Correct. Yeah, 21. We've gotten 21 different letters that we've gotten that things he's actually donated, from heart valves to patellar tendons to gracils to SMITs, and so it was. It's interesting. This is unique a little bit in that situation as we find out that he donated those. But this is the first one we actually had the donor actually want to reach out and make a connection.
When did you hear about the desire for the connection?
Probably about a couple weeks ago, we found out that the recipient wanted to reach out and find out who the donor was. And over the last truthfully, the last 72 hours, a week or so, that's when we found out it was actually Lonzo Ball. And then we found out that Dr. Cole did the surgery. And so I was like, this is pretty remarkable. The industry that I'm in, I was very familiar, and the relevance and the significance of the impact that you've had in joint restoration, things like that. So it was sort of interesting, as we already knew about the story of Lonzo Ball, but in my wildest dreams, I didn't think that they, put a graft into an NBA player. And so, but it's really...
You yourself have had cartilage transplants. I understand you played arena football.
That's correct, yeah.
And you've had 4 grafts put in?
Four grafts put in. I've had allograft oats on both sides, and then I've had soft tissue grafts as well.
And you also work in the industry, which is you work for a company called Arthrex. That's a company that I've ironically worked very closely with over the last 25 years and actually helped develop a lot of the instrumentation we use to do these procedures, and the same thing we use for Lonzo Ball with the meniscus transplant and the osteochondral allograft. So when did you have any, when you go back and you saw some of the articles and so forth, did you have any inkling that who might have gotten your son's cartilage?
We went back and looked at truthfully, and we found out they asked us to do some disclosures, and then we trying to figure out what athlete. We knew was a professional athlete. We didn't know what caliber, where, what. But in my mind, I was like, being in the industry, you put a plug into an NBA guy. It was hard to fathom that that's something that would be actually a viable option. And so, we were speculating, is it an NFL or is it hockey? Somebody doesn't have an impact all the time. So then once we found out, I'm like, this makes so much sense. And then I go back and look at the timeline. And I think it was within 35 days it was actually implanted from the time Alex passed away to I think Lonzo had his surgery in March.
Yeah, that's right. And your whole family's here now?
The whole family's here. So I have a son who's a sophomore in high school. I have another son. He's going second year law school in Washburn. So and then he had a couple of brothers and sisters that were not able to make it, but it's been it's a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, as I said, 25 years or more of doing this. I never forget where the donors come from, and we have some very young donors like your son, and sometimes younger. And I always help my patients understand, sort of what they're waiting for when there's a delay. They don't often understand the entire process, but it speaks to the importance of tissue donation, the so-called gift of life, and what I'm really looking forward to is this evening you're going to have the opportunity to meet the recipient, Lonzo Ball, and hear what sort of he has to say. And I know there's probably no person who's more grateful than him, and you'll find him to be a spectacular individual.
Right, and I think the gift of life, I don't think you can say enough about this. And for us, being honest, after Alex's passing, it was within probably 4 hours. His mom and I probably had made one of the tough decisions. Like, do you want to make Alex a donor? And it was without any holdback. We said, yeah, if we can help other people. And so it's just, again, a blessing. It's just one of those things to help give closure every day. How do you live with this?
Yeah, and finally, when you think about this, does this give you, thinking moving forward, does this give you some sense of closure? How do you tie it all together? And I know you have not yet met any of the recipients to date, but I'm curious how you think about that, how you process that, as far as, does it provide closure? How will you think about this going forward as his legacy lives, forever this way?
No, I think you make a good point. I think it's how you live with it. I think to me, it's like a dose of medicine every day, having something like this, and how do you live with it? And this, I will tell you, with my boys, talking to them last night and this morning, it just gives them a sense of a little bit, I guess, like, it's hard to explain, but it's like an amazing knowing that Alex is able to help someone. And we're Chicago Bulls, Lonzo Ball fans for life, and I cannot say enough about organ donation, suicide awareness, and like I said, being able to have the ability to help someone else moving forward, and that's Alex's legacy. He's always wanted to help someone, and he's still helping people, to this day.
Great. Well, we're all very blessed that you've taken the time to do this. So,
thank you, Dr. Cole. Appreciate you.
Thank you.